NFL Draft coming up on Thursday. We'll have coverage here on ESPN Evansville 105.3 beginning at 6 o'clock. And Brent Sobleski is the NFL Draft featured writer for Bleacher Report. Joins us now on the Menard Studio Hotline. Appreciate the time, Brett. I know we got to you a couple minutes late. My apologies for that. But let's get right into it. They're at the top of the draft board, number 1, Tampa Bay. This time of year, you get a lot of smoke screens, a lot of talk of maybe somebody doesn't think as highly of Winston as others people do, and where's he going to go? Is there any scenario, or let me ask you this way, is there a chance that the Buccaneers go with Mariota over Winston the way you see it?
I would put it at a very, very low percentage, but there's a reason why throughout this entire process they've done their due diligence on both quarterbacks. In the end, it's pretty much leaning towards Jameis Winston. It comes down to what the owners feel. If the Glacier family isn't 100% sold on Marcus Mariota and the coaching staff and the general manager are trying to sell them on that at this very moment, that's when you'll see an about face. But right now, everything's pointing towards Winston as the number 1 overall pick.
The way you see it, Winston easily, I think, is the more pro-ready of the two. Can Marcus Mariota, does he have the ability to adjust his game to be a successful quarterback in the NFL?
I'm actually the oddball draft analyst simply because I believe Marcus Mariota is the number 1 prospect, the number 1 quarterback. I think the whole narrative of being pro-ready is overblown to a degree. You know, you look at transferable traits, the individual, how he projects to the NFL. With Marcus Mariota, you see things like very quick eyes, ability to process information quickly, manipulates his safety consistently, plays from the pocket far more than he's given credit for. Whereas Winston, yes, he came out of Florida State system, but that doesn't necessarily prepare you for the NFL, just as Christian Ponder or E.J. Manuel. And one of the things I thought was very telling, we saw the Jim Harbaugh crab legs thing on ESPN and all over the internet. Well, when he went to visit Harbaugh during his pre-draft process and prep, he said that Harbaugh's playbook was so far more advanced than anything he had seen in Florida State. Obviously, that was a pro system coming from San Francisco last year. So I think the vibe between these two are much closer than people give him credit for.
Well, the question that I would have on Mariota, and obviously you're a lot deeper into this than I am, but in that type of offensive setup, he's getting the ball out pretty quick, and that's a good thing. But he's throwing mainly 2 open receivers, whereas the difference in college and the NFL is in college you're throwing to an open receiver. In the NFL, a lot of times you've got to throw your receiver open. Is he talented enough to do that from the pocket?
I believe so. I can't deny anything you said. I think anticipation is one thing where Winston gains an edge on Mariota. But to me, it's not a bad thing that he's finding open receivers. He's going through his reads and making the right throws. That's actually a positive. You're working the system to the way it's supposed to be worked. And I like to give Mariota a little more credit than he gets simply because sometimes those receivers are open because of his eye manipulation downfield. He can create wider lanes to get those guys open. Oregon's offense is amazing, and it's a blast to watch. But as Mariota and his offensive coordinator, Scott Frost, has said, there are NFL passing concepts within what they do. And on top of it, what's very fascinating to me is when you look at the ability to press the ball downfield vertically, Mariota was superior to Winston this past year in completion percentage and the amount of times he went through over 20 yards downfield. Again, I just put these two in a situation where it's not an either-or. You can like both, and I think they both bring different things. Both have franchise potential.
Well, you know, the name that well, I'm not going to say the name because I forgot it, but anyway, the situation.
Honesty. That's what this show's all about, honesty.
The situation that keeps in my mind is the daughter of the late Mr. Glacier that has had an issue with this, maybe not 100% publicly with an issue, but I don't think she's real comfortable with bringing Jameis Winston in with the sexual assault thing, which has gone away, but still kind of lingering over him. Do you think that could be enough? Obviously, she's got a lot of pull. Could that be enough to put Mariota in a Bucs jersey?
I don't think you're wrong in this instance because as they always say, the cliche is the best indicator of future action is your past actions. In that regard, a lot of general managers, ex-general managers, people have spoken up on social media. You see that used to be in the NFL. Some of them aren't entirely comfortable with Winston the person and wouldn't be willing to spend that number one overall pick on it. This is where the sell job occurs. And the thing about that lawsuit, it hasn't gone away. It's gone away for Winston specifically, but there's still a civil lawsuit against Florida State University and how it was handled throughout this entire process. As we've seen through huge releases through the Tallahassee Police Department, just saw it recently with P.J. Williams getting off on a potential DUI situation. There's question marks about how everything's run down there, and people openly question how much they got away with. Obviously, with Winston, he felt that he was okay walking into a store and walking out because someone said he could. And this is the type of person you're talking about. Whereas you look at Mariota, you can't find anything wrong with this kid. It's amazing. He's literally as clean as a whistle. From that regard, he's better than Andrew Luck. No, he's the quarterback prospect, but that's how clean. He's 100% clean, and a guy you want as a face of your franchise. If you combine these two guys, then you make the perfect quarterback.
Brent Sobleski from Bleacher Report joins us on the Menard Studio Hotline talking NFL Draft. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville, 105.3 online, ESPNEvansville.com. So what happens there if Winston goes one? Is it a lock for Mariota to go to the Titans? And if he does he stay there, or do they trade him and do some? Things are going to get really interesting with number two, the way I see it.
Agreed, and that's really where the draft's going to begin, and we have to see who becomes really serious about potentially trading up for that pick. It's quite odd, isn't it, that all of a sudden the Titans now are going to take Mariota at number two, when for months most people believe either they're going to trade out or select Leonard Williams. There's a lot of gamesmanship, especially within this last week. So we have to see, is it going to be the Titans that finally pull the trigger? I don't think he's the best fit for Kenton Winston. I give him a ton of credit as a coach. I think he's one of the best offensive minds in football, but Mariota doesn't fit that traditional pocket passer like he enjoys, and we saw with Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger, for example. Can they get someone to make that leap? Can they get the Cleveland Browns, for example, to give up multiple picks? Can they get the San Diego Chargers to give up a year early on Phillip Rivers? These are the questions and what they're going to try to press behind the scenes over the next few days. Right now, neither of those teams are going to budge based on everything that they would have to offer to really move up to that number two. So then we have to wait to that point. Will Tennessee call anyone bluff? Will they take Mariota? Right now, they still may be leaning towards Leonard Williams because he's generally considered the number one overall talent, a great fit in their defensive scheme, and the best player in this draft. So I think right now we're hearing a lot of smoke screen and bluffing out in the public, but Tennessee's trying to do everything they can to play their cards right.
One more for you, Brent, and then we're going to let you go. Brent, we sit here down in the southern part of Indiana, big Colts fan base around here. Who do you like them to take with their first pick? Are they going to go safety, or are they going to go somewhere else?
I hate to be a cop-out because you always have to wait when you have the 29th overall pick exactly who's going to fall to you. For me personally, if I look at it, your franchise is Andrew Luck. I'm doing whatever I can to keep him upright and giving him a big physical offensive lineman, but you don't know who's going to be available there. I will say this, two names that have garnered a lot of interest, one of them particularly to the Colts, are two safeties. One of them is Arizona State's Demarius Randall, a true single-high safety that can cover sideline to sideline. Team likes him a lot, so he could sneak in the end of the first round. Another one with a lot of buzz is a similar type of talent who can play cornerback or free safety would be Utah's Eric Rowe. Those are the safeties I look at that particular range. And also keep this in mind, Alabama's Landon Collins isn't guaranteed to go in the first round.
Right, and I know that's been a pretty popular name for the Colts, that he might still be there at number 29, but I know that there's some issues, like he had a great sophomore season. The junior year maybe wasn't so good. He's maybe more of a LaRon Landry-style safety and we've already been down that road before. So, and I like the idea of maybe going offensive line with the first overall pick, not first overall pick, but their first pick there in the first round. But it'll be interesting to see come Thursday. And like you said, it all gets started more so with that second pick than it does that first one. Brent Sobleski, featured writer for Bleacher Report. Follow him at Brent Sobleski on Twitter. We appreciate the time. I'm glad we got our end of the technical issues squared away. And thanks a lot, Brent. We appreciate it.